Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
So hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to that blockbuster new release wall in our memories, grab a copy off the shelf, pop it in the old VCR, and see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that's Mike.
Howdy ho.
And we're here to navigate all those landmines littered down memory lane. So Mike, we're doing a twofer this week. Back-to-back weekends.
Yes. And
so,
my goodness, how much my overall mental capacity has improved after watching this movie compared to the one last time.
I'm glad you're in a better place, Mike. So, we're doing our best to help. The United States has all these supply chain issues, so we're doing our best to contribute, Mike. We're going to put more shows in the supply chain to get that out to the millions of listeners we have. So, but we thought we'd get some more shows in the pipeline so we can kind of get our content kind of dialed in a little bit and make a better product and whatever. So, Mike, you can call me R.L. Stein because I got goosebumps this week. You know.
Oh boy!
So we picked a pretty fun movie this week. I think is general consensus is this is a pretty beloved movie. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. So we're going to look at. I love that Keanu Reeves has had a bit of a renaissance. That everybody loves Keanu Reeves, and I love how they always call him Keanu Reeves and not Keanu or Reeves. Or he's generally beloved by just about everybody you can find, and. John Wick. So you got John Wick out there right now, and he's a tour de force, and but he had very humble beginnings, Mike. And one of his bigger roles early on, back when we were kids, was the movie Speed from 1994. And we thought it would be fun to go back and look at his action movie kind of kickoff. Mm-hmm. He had done one action movie prior to this, Point Break, with our beloved Patrick Swayze. But that was his first foray into that, and but yeah, so this movie was it's kind of the epitome of what Hollywood considers the pitch, right? So this was pitched as it's Die Hard on a bus, right, Mike?
Yes. Sounds about right. Same, same family of directing tree, I guess you could say too.
Yeah, right. I would argue that's more Twister on a bus.
Oh no, no, not Twister.
Yeah. No, well, there's a lot of similarities here. I'm going to convince you, Mike. You're going to come around. There's a lot of similarities here. But yeah, as again, we're going to look at Speed, or as Homer Simpson calls it, the bus that couldn't slow down. That's the movie that's the title that goes by with him. Which either way is pretty close.
Hey, Justin, so, you know what this movie does really well?
Enlighten me.
Sound.
Yes,
like that.
It's kind of an ASMR before it was there to be, right?
That's right. Well, the sound was fantastic, this movie.
The assault on the senses, and it won some awards for that, but we'll get to that at the end.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so Mike, we're only 10 shows in, and we're doing our second Jan de Bont movie. So this was released on June 10th, 1994, and it was directed by Jan de Bont.
Hey, don't you think it's ironic he was directing Keanu, which means the breeze?
It's actually Hawaiian for the breeze over the mountain, Mike.
That's right.
I thought it just melted my heart when I heard it the first time.
there's your connection. There you go.
Yeah, but it was written by Graham Yost, who's a pretty prolific Hollywood screenwriter. One of my favorite things he's done is the episodic television he's done, particularly Justified, the Elmore Leonard adaptation with Timothy Olyphant was on FX. Just a great show. He was, but Mike, one of our favorites, was really responsible for this. Joss Whedon makes a rewrite appearance here.
Oh.
He came in as a ghostwriter, and it was majority of the dialogue was Joss Whedon's doing. So,
oh my gosh,
there's our first. There's your first Twister.
Oh
second
my.
Twister time.
Okay, I would have never picked up on that. Yeah, it didn't have the trademark Whedon kind of snappy back and forth that I remember.
Yeah. So they had a $30 million budget, and it was released into a relatively soft summer. 1994 had some big hits, but that when they were originally testing this movie, it tested very well, and it was kind of scheduled to go out as a later summer release. But given the audience reactions and the test audiences, they thought, this is people kind of like this. Let's move it up. So they moved it up to compete against the Flintstones, Mike.
Oh my! Please tell me. Please tell me the box office won for Speed in front of the Flintstones, please.
Yeah. Well, the Flintstones came out a week before.
Okay.
And how do you make a movie? How do you make a movie with Rick Moranis and John Goodman not funny? But somehow they managed. But this came out the week after, and then it kind of came out the same weekend as City Slickers 2. That was major competition. So again, not a bustling.
The Legend of Curly's Gold.
Curly's Gold, of course. Yeah, forgive me for leaving that critical part out. And the Cowboy Way was in there too, which was kind of a meh. So hindsight being what it was probably a good idea to move this up because it had a pretty good box office. But of course, The Lion King came out the next week and just kind of took over. So, but like I said, it was kind of a soft summer, and we had True Lies came out in July. That was kind of a big one, and then as the fall season came in, you had the Forrest Gump and Pulp Fiction that kind of took over the movie landscape.
Oh God, what a year!
But it, yeah. So it did kind of slip into a nice little groove there, and it was generally beloved, and people to this day still think this movie holds up. So that's what we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to see if that affirmation is true. Interesting story, stage of screen on this one, Mike. So first of all, with the cast, I'm sure you did a little homework on the cast. Do you want to walk us through that?
Oh, please indulge me for a couple minutes here. I've some of these familiar faces. I don't know, dredged up some feelings of dread and joy. Let's see who we had. We have, of course, Keanu Reeves. Pop quiz hotshot, Justin. What do you think is the worst Keanu Reeves movie?
Well, it's all of them except for about 4. they're all tied.
See,
they're all tied for first.
Okay, yeah. See, I thought you would go another way. I guess I'm in the Tom Hanks kind of camp with Keanu Reeves. Like most every Keanu Reeves movie, kind of leaves me, pretty good. And like I have no qualms with him as a character.
Yeah,
now his acting ability may be lacking, but as a character in his movies, I'm usually 9 out of 10 times with a Keanu Reeves movie, I'm happy with what I saw.
I'm probably a little more harsh than I need to be. When they cast him for what he should be, he's great.
Yes,
but period pieces, not so much. Dramatic roles, not so much.
Action,
silly.
Thank you for setting me up. I have 3. I like to throw my hat in here. Devil's Advocate. I remember that movie as being total crap. And his his Florida accent, trash.
Wow, yeah.
Lake House, which combined Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves later. I was dragged to this movie. It was advertised as a time traveling movie, which I'm here to say, not really. It was a sappy romance movie. Picture Julia Roberts and Campbell Scott in Dying Young. And then I would say Johnny Mnemonic, which was one of his earlier movies, but terrible. And one more honorable mention. He was in The Gift. He played a villainous kind of scruffy character with a really, really bad Georgia accent. So let's just say he can't really expand into doing other roles other than the ones that are made for him, like you're saying.
Well, please understand that I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan. I
Same
just
here.
don't think that. Yeah. So.
Yeah,
I ain't hating.
Well, let's continue through our cast here. Can't forget Sandra Bullock, aforementioned. I think this was her second movie I can remember in. I remember her in Demolition Man, and that was the first thing I can picture her in. And
this was her first lead role.
Okay, yeah. Dennis Hopper as the villain of the movie. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, about him. He's kind of like, in the
he was the default 90s villain.
Yes.
When you couldn't get anybody else, you could plug in Dennis Hopper. They tried De Niro and Nicholson. They were considered for this role.
Oh.
But they were kind of above that. But
maybe
like Waterworld before that. Yeah.
Maybe,
he just kind of fit that role.
Maybe they saw him as King Koopa in Mario Bros. Movie. That was fantastic.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
But he's probably the only one you could ever. I'm sure he's the only one you could say had acted in 2 movies with James Dean and 2 movies with Keanu Reeves. So he had that. He had
That's
that on his resume. So
great observation.
one of my favorite character actors, Joe Morton. He plays
Yeah.
the lead of the bomb squad in this movie. He is. I'm positive. I don't know this for a fact because I don't look this stuff up, but I believe he's been on every ABC lawyer show. Someone could look this up for me, please. I've seen him on every one of those ABC shows. Practice, Boston Legal.
Single-handedly responsible for the fall of mankind through his role as Skynet.
That's right. Yeah, Terminator 2, and also the Cyborg's father in Justice League. And maybe one of y'all out there will remember him from being in being Brother from Another Planet, which I happened to watch when I was a little kid, and I was like, wow, this is a weird movie. Go look it up. It's great. And then you have Jeff Daniels as Keanu Reeves' partner in this movie, who's a state of Michigan pitchman, and he's a really good actor. I can't say that, but he's probably going to be unfortunately remembered most for another movie I think he did the same year, where he probably had the longest shit scene on screen of anyone ever.
Cinematic history.
That's
Harry
right.
from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, I mean. And then we get into our kind of grab bag characters. We have Alan Ruck, who some people might remember as another John DeBont actor from Twister, and a Ferris Bueller.
There you go. See, Mike, it keeps building. Keep going. You're proving my point for me.
Another Twister guy was stuck on the elevator. One of the early scenes of the movie. Had a brief appearance. He was one of the baddies in the Twister movie, along with Robert Melhouse, who I'm a diehard Days of Our Lives fan. Some may remember Robert Melhouse in Days of Our Lives. And Justin, pop quiz: did Robert Melhouse play a cop or a doctor on Days of Our Lives?
Mike, I was more of a general hospital.
Oh, wow.
All my children, if you're going to skip classes in college, do it the right way.
I did. I watched Days. He was a police officer, by the way. And I don't know if you remember. I don't know. Some of you Mystery Science Theater fans may know this man. Don't know his actor's name. I didn't look up in the cast. I didn't care. I just saw his face. I was like, that guy. He played Leonardo from Vinci in Quest of the Delta Knights. And he appears on the bus as one of the pseudo heroes. So enjoy. And the one more mention, he's a repeat offender. He was on last week's podcast, and he's on this week's podcast. He's the West Wing guy.
Richard Schiff drove the train.
Yeah. Very, very brief appearance in this movie, but hey, there he was. And that's your cast.
There you go. It all ties together, Mike. So we mentioned Jan de Bont and his stable of actors. John McTiernan was probably in line to do this, but he kind of dropped out at the last minute. John McTiernan had Jan de Bont was one of his directors of photography, cinematographer, so they kind of passed the torch to him. But Rennie Harlan and Quentin Tarantino also turned this one down too. So Tarantino's been involved in a lot of weird stuff that he kind of turns down, probably for do his own stuff, which is probably the better play. So the suits, of course, did not like Keanu Reeves in this role. He was probably like 50th on the list. They really did not like Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock was only hired about 2 weeks before they started shooting. Halle Berry turned this down. Pretty famous Halle Berry turned this down. But the suits were not happy with the cast whatsoever. They were even so far as to say they didn't even like Keanu Reeves' haircut.
Oh my gosh.
That made them mad. Yeah. So exactly.
He didn't have his Theodore Logan haircut from Bill and Ted.
With William S. Preston Esquire.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. But in hindsight, I think the pitch and the concept of this movie were so strong. I think the actors were probably pretty interchangeable. It was really kind of a story-driven action movie that really works to some degree. But it had a bit of it had some things you had to kind of groan a little bit through, and there's some suspension of disbelief that you have to have there. So my favorite advice for the audience joining us as our review of this movie is just take the words of what Dennis Hopper says. Do not attempt to grow a brain, and you'll be just fine. So Mike, that's we kind of set the stage. So it's 1994. And we're in the Wayback Machine, and we're ready to go back and check out Speed. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, hit the button, Mike. So the movie kind of opens up, and we kind of fade in on this elevator shaft, and this slow descent. And as we're kind of the camera's kind of going down this
A terrible opening sequence.
yeah,
It didn't kind of
yeah.
fit the rest of the movie, and I was like, well, "This is
No,
I mean, I guess knowing what's going to happen later, it doesn't really work. But it's
Yeah.
just like, what is
I think this is kind of a lost art. You don't see a lot of movies now that take this approach. I think it was very commonplace in the 80s and 90s to have a long, drawn out, to actually recognize the people that worked on the film.
true?
I don't think audiences have the attention span for that now. But as I mentioned, the camera kind of pans down this long elevator shaft, and we get the bright blue action font that kind of shows all the names and all the people that are involved in the movie. And then when we ultimately get to the bottom, we see kind of a whacked out looking Dennis Hopper in an obvious costume disguised as a maintenance guy, and he's monkeying with something. And this random security guard notices something. He walks in and says, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here. Where's your work order?" And then Dennis Hopper stabs the guy in the head with his little lobster hand, establishing this guy's not good, right? So after he kind of cleans up, and we jump back up to upstairs on the penthouse, where you get these typical 90s yuppies are coming out of their board meeting, and they're all kind of climbing into this very same elevator. And they're, as they start their ascent, the Dennis Hopper blows the cables, and the elevator kind of free falls. And then I think at that kind of fall rate, these guys would go 0G, Mike, but we never really got established that. But that's a
They never really go
drop.
airborne, do they?
No, but we don't care about physics here. So the emergency brake kind of kicks in, and they kind of get stuck in the middle of these middle of the floors here. And then out of nowhere, the bomb squad gets called, because apparently somebody decided that this was this was not a random act. This was a premeditated thing.
I wrote that down. I was like, how did the bomb squad even know this was a criminal activity?
Your first.
They would find even if they found the security guard with the thing in his ear, like he was dead on the floor, they wouldn't assume it was a bomb. I mean, it's kind of weird.
Your first call might want to be the maintenance, but anyway, so we get we see this this is what I love. This is what I love about Hollywood, Mike. The Crown Victoria literally flies.
Yes.
I wish my car had the suspension that the Ford Victoria, Crown Victoria has. But
oh wait,
so
it's not the only flying vehicle in this movie that seems to defy. Well, you'll get to that.
Yeah, but we digress. So this is the vehicle that's carrying our two heroes, Keanu Reeves and Jeff Daniels. So they come out, and they get right to it, Mike. They're rogue, and they're confident because they're chewing gum. They are chewing the heck out of that gum. So they're here to take charge, right? And the quips and the goofy dialogue are already starting. So these two obviously are partners, and they've got a good handle on things. So they've got this, right, Mike?
Yes.
So the first thing to decide is that it's an express elevator, so they have to go up and find out where it stops. So they climb 32 flights of stairs, Mike. So I was immediately struck by I remember the time. Remember it in Atlanta at Hilton, we decided that it would be a great idea that rather than wait for the elevator, that we would just simply climb up 32 flights. I think it was 32 flights.
It was a little bit, right around 30, yeah. Oh,
yeah. So
mistake.
I remember the condition I was in after climbing those 32 flights. I could not defuse a bomb at that point.
I could barely breathe.
I think more likely my heart was going to explode. But yeah, so they get up there, and they kind of establish that that there's bad news afoot. Something's going on here. So Keanu decides that he's got a pretty brilliant idea. He's going to go up the top, and there's a gantry crane up there, and he's going to kind of hook up the gantry crane to this elevator, because it conveniently has a hook on the top and kind of bypass. So they have the assumption that whoever's doing this is going to blow the shaft anyway. So they get right to work. So they kind of hook up the thing, and then Dennis Hopper's down downstairs at the bottom. He's listening in on all this. So of course he blows up the emergency brakes, and they fall a few more feet and kind of get stuck in between floors. And there's really kind of a scary little scene where they have to get the hostages have to get kind of pulled out of the elevator before it kind of pitches down on them. That was kind of nerve rattling for sure. But of course they get out, and Keanu and Jeff Daniels are the heroes. So they do a bit of a time jump here, and then the next thing we were at like a Star Wars award ceremony where they're getting their medals. And, but prior to that, as they're wrapping up the elevator scene, they come across they go after Dennis Hopper because they figured out that he's still in the building, and Jeff Daniels makes the mistake of finding him first and kind of gets beat up. I love how Dennis Hopper is probably in his late 60s at this phase, and he's got one arm, but he took out 2 cops. But he takes Jeff Daniels hostage, and that's where we get the pop quiz hot shot. Because prior to this, kind of unprompted, Keanu and Jeff were having this random conversation about hostage negotiations, and Keanu floats the possibility that it was better to shoot the hostage to take them out of the equation. So of course that's what happens. There's a little foreshadowing there, and Keanu ends up shooting Jeff Daniels in the leg, much to Dennis Hopper's surprise. And then he takes off, and then anyway, so they save the day. So they get their awards, and then they go to probably the most '90s party I've ever seen, Mike, at the bar.
Oh yeah,
and they're kind of reflecting. What I thought was fun here is that Jeff Daniels, you can basically hear the death rattle when he shows up. This is the guy that's going to die. The minute he's on screen, it's like, spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't seen this yet. But he's never going to make it. He's like, I was expecting I'm going to retire. He's 3 months to retirement type thing.
He's so close. He's like he's the Danny Glover to the Keanu Reeves, Mel Gibson. Yeah,
yeah. But anyway, so he's been shot, and he's kind of in a cane now, so he'll have to do all his work on the slow end on the bench. So the next morning, after this award ceremony, after all this happens, we see Keanu in his little Santa Monica neighborhood getting his coffee and getting his muffins, and he's talking to the bus driver, of course.
Bob.
And, could that guy look any less LA? That bus driver, that guy is Brooklyn.
Yeah, for a second there, I thought I was in Brooklyn to Queens or something. I was like, wait, this guy.
He looks like a good fella. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so he starts to drive away, and then the bus explodes. Much to Keanu's horror, right in the middle of the street there. And as he's running after to see if he can help Keanu, he hears the phone booth. For those of our audience that don't know what that is, that we used to have before, we used to have public phones in little booths, so you could make calls and put coins, and may not even know what coins are either.
It's funny. That's one of the things I wrote down was the phone technology in this movie. It was kind of on the cusp of like right there in the middle between old phone technology and then the new cell phone technology. Like he actually
the cell phone.
Keanu Reeves using a cell phone several times in this movie. It's like, wow, people had cell phones. You're looking at this in '94, going, wow, that's kind of cool. But then you see people flipping through phone books. You see phone booths. Like, wow, okay, so they use this back then.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that long ago, but it is.
I have another phone quirk that bothered me during the movie. I made some assumptions while I was looking at it, but every time I saw it, it bothered me. It was Dennis Hopper's use of a phone. I knew he had the little lobster claw on his left hand, or his right hand, but he would use his left hand to hold the receiver on his right ear every time.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. You would think if he damaged that side of his body, he might not be having hearing in that ear or something. But
and it was like really bizarre. I was even noted like, wait, why would he? It just was odd. It looked just off-putting when he was doing. Like, wait, why is he kind of?
I think it might have been just a way to get the lobster hand in the shot more. It just looks more weird. Yeah, but we might be digging a little deep on that one. But,
I know. It just one of the little things. I was like, what?
So anyway, so the bus blows up, and Keanu hears the phone ring, and he assumes that's for him, and he kind of goes over there, and it's sure enough, it's Dennis Hopper, and his party has been pooped. He had spent 2 years trying to to arrange this thing to get the ransom from it that Keanu so conveniently disrupted. So he's gonna extract his revenge on Keanu by basically setting up the plot for the next 40 minutes of the movie. And he explains to him that he's got another bus that he's wired to blow up. So when that bus gets to 50 miles an hour, that'll trigger the bomb, and then the minute that bus drops below 50, kaboom! It will blow up real good. So he's kind enough to actually tell him where the bus is, so Keanu can just kind of head out and try to stop it. And it's now we're about 30 minutes into the movie, Mike. That's where we meet Annie, played by Sandra Bullock, America's second sweetheart, I guess. So of course she knows everybody on the bus. It's her gang, her pals, and she's running to catch the bus. I'm sure she's glad she caught that bus and didn't miss it that day, at least.
Oh yeah.
But she gets on, and the bus driver is giving her a hard time about being late and all that kind of thing. And so she jumps on, and the bus starts to pull out. And the next thing you know, the driver of the bus sees Keanu. In the meantime, he had kind of hijacked this poor guy's Jaguar.
Toon Man.
Yeah, Toon Man. And they make it, light of his pain here, but he's really the hero of the movie because he provides a car. He actually writes the words "the bomb on bus" so the driver's tipped off. He allows his car's door to be blown off so Keanu can board the bus. He gives him his cell phone. So this, then he ends up like smashing into these water barrels. So it's funny that all his pain is funny, but if it wasn't for this guy, everybody would have died. But that's another story. So at this point,
that's a prequel about, or maybe it's the sequel they should have made. The Speed 2.
We'll get to that. Slow down. So now Keanu's on the bus, and he's kind of telling everybody in no uncertain terms that there's a situation. Right, Mike? So slight situation. In the meanwhile, there's an ex-con on the bus who thinks that he's getting pinched, so he gets crazy and he pulls out a gun, and Keanu tries to talk him down, and this construction worker kind of takes matters into his own hands, and there's a dust up, and the bus driver gets shot in the shoulder. So that's where Annie steps in. So Sandra Bullock's driving the bus, and now we got a movie, right, Mike? So
that's right here. We go.
So the next 45 minutes are just kind of an assemblage of chase scenes and really kind of Grand Theft Auto and Santa Monica. So she's making a series of, hazardous maneuvers. She's banking hard. She's driving through intersections. She's smashing into parked cars, none of which seem to slow this bus down at all, which I guess is good. But it's really just on them. They conveniently find a little easy plot device here where they figure out a way to get this bus on the 105 freeway, which is an abandoned freeway, which I didn't know those were a thing, especially in Los Angeles. But it gives us all a chance to catch our breath. So the bus actually makes it onto the highway, and they're trying to figure out how we're going to get out of this thing. So as they're on this highway chugging along, Hopper has some interaction with Keanu and says, hey, where's my money, et cetera, et cetera. And he says, well,
I got a small question. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Hopper's watching he's watching a football game, which I assume is on a weekday morning, 8:30, 9 a.m. Pacific time. I don't know. I'm just curious. Do you think he's watching a football game that was being taped? College game?
No, it's
it was live
East Coast.
Somewhere?
It's the East Coast, Mike. All your 1 p.m. NFL. Yeah.
You think you think it's a weekend day then? Okay, cool. I got you.
I was more concerned to why he was watching the same game on two different screens.
I know, right? But what was clever was that they show that he has a knowledge of football, and then the thing about the Arizona Wildcats comes up.
The
later.
Wildcats,
I thought that was very clever little writing little thing there. I like that.
Every line is precious. Every line has a purpose, Mike. So
yes.
So anyway, he tries to negotiate a little good faith and said, let me get this bus driver off so I can grease the wheels with the money guys. And Hopper reluctantly agrees, even though he's supposed to be this crazy madman. So they have the cops kind of even though it's been clearly stated that if anybody tries to get off the bus, Hopper's going to blow it up. So they get the bus driver off, and then uh, one of the passengers, one of the older ladies on the bus, she's kind of having her freak out moment, and she was Dwight Schrute's babysitter. I don't know if you remember her from The
That's
Office.
right. Okay. Yes, it's a slightly familiar face. Yeah.
So she has a little crisis there, and she tries to get off the bus, and of course the cops are coaxing her. Please, come on, we got you. The cops are actually telling her to get on, knowing full well that he'll blow it. So she's the first fatality here. Hopper sees that and kind of blows up the base of the door, and she goes under the bus, and that's not good. So it kind of established there is some tension here that people will actually die. It's not a silly action movie. There's actually a terrorist type situation going here.
Did you like? I mean, I wrote this down myself. I really liked the cast of the bus. Like they seemed very real. I feel like it was a group of characters that, if written today in a movie, would have to have like their own little like backstories and such and all this. But
right,
no, I mean they had a couple of people with lines there, and everybody else had some genuine emotions to what was going on around them, and it was much better than say assemblage you would get in a movie like Twister, where you had to have like stupid names and stupid like extreme, kind of people.
Yeah. Yeah, you're proving my point for me, Mike. Yeah, but it's a kind of a cross section of people that live in LA, and they're not just there to make funny jokes. They're actually there to represent, different demographics and how they would take heed of this and how they would, react in the situation. You've got Cameron Fry, of course, the tourist who's my favorite, of course. But yeah, so yeah, you're right. But they're there for a reason, and they're not forgotten about, as most of these movies kind of forget about the hostages as part of the narrative. But yeah, they're important. So we're chugging along, and they're trying to figure out what to happen, how they're going to get through this, and of course, you get your first big set piece here, Mike. They determine that there's about a 50-foot gap in the road that they're on. So what do you do, right? You're driving a bus and it can't blow before 50, but there's no road. What do you do, Hotshot? So Keanu's thinks for about 2 seconds, and he tells Annie to floor it. So he's going to go straight Evel Knievel on this thing. So that's the first one. So she floors it, and they do this great kind of bus jump. And so some trivia, Mike. This was a real bus doing a real jump. In fact, they had to shoot this scene a couple times because the bus made the jump too easily. They had to like put some CGI in there to make it look more difficult than it actually was. So good thing to know if you've got a 50-foot gap in the.
That's right.
I would encourage all of our listeners to just floor it and jump it, because it's pretty easy. So they managed to land, and that was kind of a cool scene for sure. So they're all kind of celebrating, everything's going crazy, and then Keanu calls Dennis Hopper again. It says, "Hey, Dennis Hopper's pretty impressed at the wildcat behind the wheel, as you mentioned," and says, he says, "Let me off this bus so I can talk to people face to face, because they kind of push their luck with a jump, and they said, enough's enough. We'll try to get your money for you." So again, Hopper reluctantly agrees to let another guy off the bus. This time it's Keanu, but they're doing a little end around here, Mike. So Keanu's not really going to talk to you, but he's actually going. He's going to go under the bus and try to defuse the bomb. And we get this cool little Indiana Jones scene where he kind of gets on this dolly. He's underneath the bus, and he's trying to determine what he can see, and he has Cameron do his relay for him. Cameron Fry, relay all the information, and turns out it's kind of course it's rigged to where it can't really be diffused. So he gets back on the bus, and then what do we do now, right? So in the meantime, as he's trying to do this, and of course a big chunk of rubber comes up and kind of knocks him loose, and Keanu did like 95% of his stunts in this movie, and that's actually him on that gantry underneath there, which I thought was pretty cool.
That is good.
So concurrently, Jeff Daniels back in the bullpen, kind of working the other end of the story, trying to understand who this guy is. And, they go through their microfiche and their newspaper clippings. And he's got a hunch that the guy is probably a cop, because he sees the gold watch that he used as part of the fuse assembly of the bomb. And it turns out that Hopper is a guy from Atlanta PD on the bomb squad that got kind of robbed out of his pension, and that's why he's doing all this stuff to get his cash. So they find out his location, Mike, and they set up their team to go raid the house, the SWAT team. And of course, typically when these pyrotechnic guys, they tend to have some booby traps in their house, and kaboom! Jeff Daniels bites the big one. He fulfills his destiny, Mike, and he gets blown up. It's not funny, but he's there to get blown up. Come on. So word gets back to Keanu on the bus, and he has this pretty sincere temper tantrum and kind of loses his. He says we're all going to die, which is hero talk for sure. But in the middle of his rage, he notices that he had heard Sandra Bullock be referred to as the Wildcat by Hopper, and he sees that she's got an Arizona Wildcats jersey on over her driver's seat chair. And he comes to the realization that Hopper has a camera on the bus, which in 1994 wasn't exactly a standard thing. So now it's pretty much everything's on film all the time, but at the time it was kind of an interesting plot device for sure. So they work their way into LAX and figure out a way they can just keep the bus on. They kind of traverse the tarmac and just kind of keep going around. And they decide that because this is being broadcast, they had to come up with this great idea that they will film. The local news trucks will film the footage from this UHF feed. UHF is again for our younger listeners an old broadcasting means where the antenna on your TV would pick up random broadcasts. But yeah, so they film the people on the inside on a loop, so it looks like like they're just driving. They essentially kind of confuse Dennis Hopper's. So it looks like he's just looking at the same footage, but actually what they're doing is figuring out a way to offload the passengers. So Dennis Hopper can't see any of this action now. He just sees the same image of these guys just staring ahead. He's kind of blind to all this. So they actually managed to offload all the passengers while this is happening. And then Keanu and Annie kind of swing down the backside of the bus and do this little luge slide. And they get off the bus. And of course, the bomb finally gets triggered conveniently right next to a giant cargo plane.
Oh yes,
so you get a big old boom for your money there. And I think they actually showed this scene in the trailer. The commercial actually showed like the film's ending. But yeah, so they make it. Your typical Hollywood trope, everybody's in the ambulance with a blanket on, and they're getting better because the blanket's on them, and they're having their their little denouement. Yeah. Right. So the cops are congratulating everybody, and then meanwhile, Dennis Hopper is kind of blind. He tell all this. He doesn't know anything's happened yet. So he calls and says, "Hey, where's my money?" So this is, what? Now he doesn't know what happened. Let's get him. So there's this really harebrained sting to catch him at the money drop. And so they haven't learned anything from this guy yet. So Dennis Hopper actually is at the location looking at the garbage can where they're supposed to drop the money. And he could see all the SWAT team all over the place. And they drop the money in the can, and what I loved here, Mike, is that there's a big hole at the bottom of the can.
Oh yeah, like what?
The subway. Yeah.
No one noticed this little that's all that's holding us over the subways. One little layer of concrete, by the way, just so everyone knows how engineering works there in LA.
Yeah. So anyway, Dennis Hopper ultimately gets wise to this, and he sees the little glitch in the matrix and sees that he's been watching this loop, and he just kind of rages out. And he turns into Blue Velvet Dennis Hopper at this point and just goes crazy. So at this point, he dons the cop uniform that was eerily in every shot with him. Remember on the mannequin? They always put the cop's uniform. For some reason, they kind of implanted that image through the whole movie. But he dons the police uniform, and he comes up to Sandra Bullock and kind of tells her, Keanu told me to come get you, blah blah blah, and he kind of tricks her into going with him, and he kind of kidnaps her. And then they give him the call to say, "Hey, I got your girl. Where's my cash?" And then we start the movie all over again down in the subway, which I thought was kind of fun, right? So when they finally do meet up down there, you see that Annie's got she's rigged up with the bomb vest. She's got bomb around her, and he's got the release trigger in his good hand. What I thought here was interesting that that trigger didn't appear to be that sensitive because sometimes he's holding it, sometimes he's not, and
Right. Yeah. It's like there's really not a lot of squeezing going on there. He's just kind of
yeah.
haphazardly
So
holding it in his hand.
they start chasing each other, and they got on this train, and Hopper kind of hijacks the train, and he's got his cash with him now, so he's trying to make a run for it, and of course Keanu like jumps on the train, and there's chasing after him, and they end up having this standoff where conveniently the trigger gets forgotten. Sandra Bullock gets kind of handcuffed to one of the poles on the train, and they're fighting on top of the roof, and he's got the trigger in his hand, but he's kind of beating Keanu over the head with it. And then Keanu kind of holds on to the trigger, and then poor Dennis Hopper meets his end by a little convenient little decapitation. His head gets knocked off. He gets denogonized, Mike.
He lost his head.
But all the while, he lost. Yeah. So, but meanwhile, Keanu managed to hold on to the trigger. And of course, then it's not going to slow down because the movie's called Speed, right? So the train kind of jumps the tracks and crashes through the city street, and they end up coming out together, and they made it. And Keanu's cool, and Sandra Bullock's the cutest thing you've ever seen, and it's implied that they're going to live happily after. And then Billy Idol comes in and sings us out. Oh, what a horrible song! But that's the end, Mike.
I like did you like the little reference they had, the 2001 Space Odyssey on one of the movie marquees there?
Yeah,
that was clever.
Yeah,
I don't know why that was referenced, but I know it was
because again, 25th. I'll tell you why it was referenced, Mike, and again, it'll prove my point, and I'll claim victory on this.
No, not the Twister movie. Oh God, not the
Jan de Bont stole the Kubrick movie, The Shining, in his movie, and it's another homage. So I'm telling you, this is Twister on a bus. But yeah, so that's the end, and this was a lot of fun, Mike. And I remember that we skipped this part, but the first time I saw this movie, I didn't see this in the theater, which I kind of regret now. But I ended up seeing I rented a Laserdisc rental, Mike. I rented a Laserdisc to watch this movie. Yeah, I found a little specialty shop in Chicago that rented laser discs, and I rented this and several others for the weekend and watched this, and it was great, and I really enjoyed it. And coming back 25 years, 30 years, almost 30 years later, it's like we said before, it understood the assignment, Mike. It's a good action movie, and I think it still kind of holds up to this day. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember watching it in the theater with my wife. Well, we were girlfriend, boyfriend then, but yeah, it was like right after, like a night after work, and it was the movie to see, and very enjoyable. Just turn off your brain, watch this movie, enjoy. At the time, I loved it, and I can't argue with it this time. It was arguably the best movie that we have rewatched in our podcast so far. For me,
I mean,
it held up the best of any of them.
Yeah,
excluding the Billy Idol song at the end, and like I said, not being distracted by like phone technology and whatnot. I mean, I think I told you before we started that I didn't really write any notes down, and because one of the reasons for that was this movie.
Yeah, I was watching it.
Yeah. Even though I'd seen it before, it was intense. I mean, they don't. It's not a let up in the movie where you can just kind of go, oh, okay, well, we can relax now. This is the scene where they talk. There's more exposition here. No exposition. Just go. And
no,
I mean, it was really, like I said, I was really impressed with how good it was and how I hadn't seen it in 28 years, and it held up really well.
I think is a testament to like a really efficient, I guess is lack of a better word, efficient script. It's written well. There's not there's a romantic subplot, but it's not overdone, and it applies to the narrative, and it's just a very efficient, very clean movie. But yeah, so it ended up winning a couple Oscars for sound and sound effect editing. Whatever, I don't know what the difference between those two are. But it made.
I don't care. I don't care about Oscars. I want to know about MTV. MTV, please.
Oh, you do? Well, okay. Well, I don't like to give them as much airtime as they probably deserve, but they were a good sweep. They were almost a clean sweep at the MTV Music Movie Awards, Mike. Best Female Not best
Okay.
female actress, just best
Okay.
female, and most desirable female for Sandy.
Wow.
Best on-screen duo and
Jeez.
best villain. So they, you
Wow.
know, apparently
Wow.
those two agreed to show up. Typically, that's how MTV doles out their awards. Whoever decides to come. Uh, I was just watching like a news article about the most recent MTV Movie Awards, and I've never felt more disconnected from pop culture in my whole life. I didn't know who any of these people were.
Yeah.
Ugh. Uh, anyway,
Join the
I guess we're
club.
just
Yeah. I'll look.
it's
We're too old for that stuff. It's not made for us anymore.
it's not made for us, and I feel bad, Mike, but not too bad because I think we caught MTV Phase Zero, which Phase One, which was a whole lot better than MTV Phase whatever it is now.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for
so
sure.
this movie made $15 million in its opening weekend. It made
Wow.
$121 million at the U.S. box office, and then $350 million worldwide. And this was competition from The Lion King, which I think as of recent date is like the sixth highest grossing domestic movie of all time. So
Okay. Because
it
that
hung
was.
in there. Yeah, it
I was
hung in
going to
there
ask
for
you which if this was like in the top three of movies or from '94. No, I knew it wasn't
yeah.
Interview with a Vampire, but I knew there was. I
No,
thought, well,
no.
Speed might be up there, or Pulp Fiction, or Dumb and Dumber, or something like that. But I wasn't sure
Well,
who the
yeah,
top movie was.
Forrest Gump, I think, took over.
That's right.
It was
Okay.
Lion King, then Forrest Gump really kind of owned that year. But
Gosh.
it did generate a pretty horrible sequel, Speed 2. Sandra decided to come back. We had this discussion on an earlier podcast about the cash grab, and this premise is good for one movie, good for two movies, not really.
No.
And that we got in lieu of Keanu Reeves, we got the moody, introspective Jason Patrick.
Yes.
Uh, yeah,
Now, and
so
let me ask you a question. I hate to say it, but we actually have the Speed 2 DVD right behind me here, but my wife purchased
yeah.
it, of course. And I've never seen it. Is he supposed to be Jack from this movie, or is he a different character?
No, I think there's a line in the movie about how relationships forged under pressure don't last. I think they
Oh,
kind of
okay.
broke up, and
Okay.
but he looks enough like Keanu for the studio executive to say, "Oh, man,
Oh,
go do it again." But yeah, it's kind of set on a cruise ship and in the same kind of premise.
see,
So again,
it's another reason I like Keanu Reeves. I mean, thank you for saying no to that.
yeah.
I
I
know,
mean,
I know he should have said no to the Matrix fourth movie, but that's okay. I mean, I'll forgive him for
or
that.
the second or the third, but yeah, yeah.
Yes, agreed.
But yeah, he kind of excused himself from that, and to his benefit, certainly for sure. But yeah, so that's we kind of talked about how this movie still kind of holds up, and just to
Very
put it
much
through the
so.
grumpy meter, just to do the diligence of going through the grumpy meter. When I first saw this my first time, I thought, great, what a great action movie, and this was. We didn't know how good this was at the time because there were so many movies that were just like this, but
Yep.
it was great. And then on my rewatch, I think I just have a little bit more appreciation for it, considering that Keanu is prolific and he's still doing these great stunts and he's still doing these good roles and people still love him. And it's one of those things where when a movie's done right, it really kind of holds the test of time, and it just really kind of. So my second way, I didn't budge a bit. I maybe go up even a little bit, maybe a 4.5. I really had a good time.
Hmm.
Maybe just being sentimental, maybe just capturing that time of my life, but. This movie on its own, like I said, I didn't have a ton of notes here. I usually watch these things looking for things to dissect or kind of tend to
Yeah,
dig into, but it was kind of hard to do that. Mike, what about you?
agreed. Like I say, I watch these things with a jaundiced eye, expecting the worst. It's literally like guilty before proven innocent. When you watch these things, you're like, okay, this is going to suck. What am I not going to like about this? But I went into this,
Yeah,
remember, had good memories of it from the past, and rewatching
yeah,
it, I think you just said it the best. It does it does its required assignments. It never
yep,
lets up. It's a movie I would like to see them make nowadays, without any of the fluff and
yep,
all the other crap, like I said, about extra
yeah,
kind of stuff going
yeah,
on, and it does its work. I think in the past I would have said, it's a kind of a fluffy action movie, 3 stars. But watching it now, I have more appreciation for it. So at
yeah,
least four
yeah,
stars for me. I mean, this is a great
yeah.
movie for people to watch now.
Again, just very well crafted, very
Yeah.
just a executed, very well executed movie. So you can't
Oh
can't
yeah.
really go wrong with it.
It's
So
very, it's so little like we talked last week about or last time about the Jurassic Park and how many like just plot holes there were. Just like you're watching this, even as an editor, you're thinking, how did they miss this? Or who watched this and
yeah,
said, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I
yeah,
watched Speed and I'm thinking, okay, that works. This works. Okay, the bus probably wouldn't lift off before that little gap, but
yeah,
hey, I can let that go.
yeah.
I mean, there's little
There's
things
no
in there, but it's
there's
no
no groan inducing things, right? You're like, oh, really?
right. There's
You don't
there's
say that.
nothing. There's not, there's nothing that gets you to just start to scribbling like a madman on your paper, saying, "Oh, this sucks. Oh, look, you should have seen this. Oh
uh,
my God, what did they just do right there?" I mean, you're,
let me
I'm,
at him. Let me at him. Yeah.
yeah, I felt like I was back at a cinema in the '90s again, watching this movie and thinking, "Wow, this was really good." I kind of miss this.
Yeah. Yep. I'll take that nowadays. I really will.
Hmm.
That's a win. So, okay. So that'll kind of wrap up this movie. Before we go, we'll kind of talk about as normal people what we're currently watching, old or otherwise. Mike, I restarted watching Peaky Blinders. Kind of there's
Oh
six
yeah!
seasons out available now, and
Wow, 6 seasons. Okay.
yeah. So I love this show for several reasons, but the biggest reason we're both music guys, and the soundtrack to this show, this crime drama set in the 20s and 30s, juxtaposed against these great English rock bands, Idols and Royal Blood and Nick Cave and PJ Harvey. To have that kind of music set in this universe is just I'm sorry, it's a cliche, but it's just cool. It's so cool to hear that music, just badass stuff. But the story and the narrative and the acting in this thing is just phenomenal, and to have that music on top of it, I'm just really enjoying that. I just regret that the typical BBC shows are only like 6 episodes long, but I think
Yeah.
that's probably a better thing at the end of the day, that they keep these things short and they don't drag them out past their
Yeah, and they don't
past
throw
their
like
lifespan.
right,
Yeah,
and they don't throw multiple other shows at you that are related to it.
yeah,
Kind of like
but
Star Wars, perhaps. Um,
maybe, but Peaky Blinders is great, and I encourage people that people
yeah,
typically don't want to watch this because they can't understand what it is. Just try the subtitles. The Cockney accents, the Birmingham accents are really tough, but once you get the subtitles in there, it's you can piece it together, and it's just great show. Mike, what are you watching?
yeah. I didn't realize there were 6 seasons in. I think after 3 seasons, I had stopped watching, but I need to get back into that.
Yeah,
I'm of course I'm going back with my nostalgia kind of review here. This movie got me interested in wanting to watch, which I haven't seen this movie in over 30 years, so I could be a little foggy on it. But it was called River's Edge.
yeah, with
It,
two
it had
two stars of our current movie. Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, he was in 2 movies of Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and this movie was really angsty and dark. I think it came out in '86 or '87. Um,
yeah,
I think I'm not sure. It could have been one of Keanu Reeves' first movies, but it was a kind of a teen murder drama mystery. But it wasn't like your typical kind of fluffy teen movie. This was very dark, and
no,
if it gives you any idea, it had Crispin Glover in it, so you kind of know there's that
yeah.
weirdness factor.
He
And
was
of course,
great too.
yeah. And Dennis Hopper is, of course, a drug dealer, so I didn't
Yeah,
go too far outside his area, but really interesting movie, and I'm wanting to rewatch that one after seeing Speed, and I would
no,
recommend it for people. Like I said, I saw it on HBO. Oh my gosh, so long ago, and I would recommend it.
no, great call. I mean, I think that's interesting. Again, not to be too generational here, but when we were teens, the young adult movies weren't what they classify as young adult now, like your Hunger Games and things like that. Movies that were about teens when we were teens were typically pretty dark and moody and introspective and slice of life things. And I don't,
Yeah,
I'm sure there's movies out there like that now, but the prevalent theme when we were that age is movies about teens were not fun. And this is really kind of a dark, gritty view of that. And that's a great call, Mike, for sure.
yeah, it's a good movie.
Well, all right. So I'm going to go catch the bus home, Mike. Hopefully, uh, We want to thanks everybody for listening. Again, you can check out more information about the show on our Instagram page at Grumpy Nostalgia. We love to hear from you. You can reach at us at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know what you think about the show. Mike, I think that's going to wrap it up. You got anything you want to add before we head out?
Big round hairy cojones.
Make it hurt, why don't you? That's gross, as he says in the movie. All right, so so that's going to wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you again for listening. For Mike James, this is Justin, and we will see you again next time.